Just want to let you lot know that if you're watching this clip on the Fozcast YouTube channel, the full episode is now available to watch exclusively on Spotify, and it's free. Come on. Normally what would happen with me, for example, is I would then go straight out to get my phone. I'd ring my agent. I'd say, oh, mate, just spoke to the chief exec. They want to offer me a new contract. They're going to be in touch. Okay. From that point on, the chief exec will get in touch with the agent, and they will basically start sort of thrashing it out. But in the meantime, I've already spoke to my agent about what I want. So obviously, depending on what stage you are in your career, say you're 25 years old, 26-year-old, you've got ambitions to be at a bigger club. You know, you might go, I might think about this, to be honest with you. You know, is it going to be worth it? Apparently, I've only got a year and a half left on my contract. I can run it down a little bit if I give it another 6 months. This is always the risk of it, though. If you're a mid-20s player and you're absolutely smashing it in the Premier League for a mid-table team, you're one of the best players in your position in the league almost, then you've got some serious bargaining chips. You've got a lot of power. You hold all the power, basically, because once you go down to a year, the club starts to, genuinely panic. Even a year and a half, clubs are panicking. 2 years normally.
And now that's because of resale value, right?
Yeah, for resale value.
Look at Harry Kane.
Yeah.
So this is, Arsenal have been, is it fair to say Arsenal have been a little bit, would you say, slack in the past over it?
Yeah, they have. They've been famous for it, in fact. They've been famous for getting down to a year and a half, a year, and the player just either walking or they're going to have to sell him for absolute peanuts.
So at what point, if you're on a 3-year deal, 4-year deal, at what point, if you're doing a good job, at what point does the conversation crop up of, is it 2 years out? Is it a year out?
It's fully dependent on how you're doing. Like I say, if you're doing really well and you've still got 3 years left on your deal and there's rumours in the paper of clubs coming in for you and paying you stupid amounts of money and trying to sign you for 100 million or whatever, this is the point where a player can even then go to a club and say, listen, I'm getting linked with Man United, I'm getting linked with Man City, and I know I can get 150 grand a week if I'm then, but I'm sitting here playing for you for 40 grand a week. Yeah. I want a new 4-year deal and I want to go on 120 grand a week. Yeah.
And that can happen.
Oh, for sure it'll happen.
So let's look at an example at the moment. So it also works, rather than running down a contract, you might be at the start of a contract.
Yeah.
So let's look at Matoma at Brighton, right?
Okay.
So he comes in.
Yeah.
Unknown, fair to say,
Yep.
and he tears it up from day one. It's in the club's best interest to get on top of that early and go, do you know what? We've signed him on a 4-year deal, so he can sit here for 4 years and pay him, 12 grand a week maybe?
Yeah.
Something like that. Or we get on top of it and look after him. What's your view on that?
This is the bit here where you have to take the human element into it. So I think a lot of people get carried away with the fact that they play Champ Man and they see a player on a 4-year deal and they think, she got 4 years left, no chance, mate, yeah? I can wait till it gets down to 18 months or even a year and then I can offer him a new contract, right? That's not how life works, yeah? So if that player's smashing it, but he's only earning, say Matoma, for example, I'd wager a bet that he's probably on about 30 grand a week, 40 grand a week, maybe.
When he signed?
He's not signing for massive money. He's not signing for big
bucks. I wouldn't thought it would be that much.
Maximum, yeah? Maximum. Say he's on 30 grand a week, all right?
And this is all in football terms, by the way. In relation.
We're talking, in relation to the real world, this is just crazy money, right?
Yeah, of course.
But in football terms, Matoma, his market value is ridiculous right now, yeah? You imagine if somebody's going to try and sign Matoma, they're going to have to pay the best part of 50 mil, maybe? Yeah? 50 mil for Matoma? 50 mil, yeah?
Yeah.
So if he's sitting there on 30 grand a week and he knows he's worth this money and he knows there's this team and this team and this team that are interested in trying to sign him, I think Brighton are that well equipped and they run it so well that they won't even wait for the player to come to them. Yeah. I think they'll go to him and say, mate, you're smashing it. We love you to bits. This relationship works, yeah? You work for us. We work for you. You know what I mean? Should we just carry this on? We'll look after you. We'll give you a new 4-year deal, yeah? Starting from now. And we'll double, treble your wages, right? We'll look after you. That way, the player then goes, I really like that. I really appreciate that.
Makes you feel valued.
It makes you feel so valued. I really appreciate that. Cool, let's do it. So then that then takes that sort of, that doubt out of Matoma's head of thinking about other teams and what the future might lie. So he's on a real good wage. He's got a new 4-year deal. He can just focus on playing football.
So let me play devil's advocate here. So let's say this hypothetical scenario plays out and he signs a new 5-year deal, 60 bags a week. Yeah. Right? End of the season, he is killing it. Arsenal come in for 70 million and Brighton go, no, we're not signing him.
Yeah.
And we've seen it time and time. And the player kicks off, right? Which side of the fence do you sit on? Because I would go, tough shit, mate. You signed the 5-year deal because you wanted that extra money.
I get this. I completely get this. This is where, again, you have to take the human element into it. The second a player has his head turned, you are screwed. You're screwed, yeah?
Yeah.
So either that's a £70 million asset.
Yeah.
Yeah? We're not talking chump change here. That's 70 million quid, right? So you can either cut your nose off to spite your face and go, you're staying, his performances dip, his market value dips, the word gets out he's a bit of a bad egg when things don't go his way. It's not good for anybody.
It rarely ends up in a positive... Well, one that did, we're led to believe, is Harry Kane.
Yeah.
So last season, wasn't it?
Well, Harry Kane, not really. It didn't turn out well, did it? It just kind of carried on the same. Harry Kane's always smashed it.
Yeah, but he had his head turned.
He did. He definitely had his head turned. He handed in a transfer request. But Harry Kane is, again, it comes down to the individual. Harry Kane is, you can tell, very professional.
Yeah,
he's an utmost professional. So even if he's had his head turned, he will still just do the same job. There are players, though, like say, if you are on a, I don't know, you've just signed this brand new contract, but the lure of playing for a Man City or a Chelsea or an Arsenal comes in, that's a big thing.
Have you seen it with your in clubs?
I've seen it in clubs. I've seen it. I remember the side of Berahino incident from years ago when I was at West Brom when there were Tottenham were getting linked with him for, you're talking best part of 20 million quid, and West Brom at the time were a bit like Daniel Levy at Tottenham, where they were so tight. They were so, like, they were known for being world-class negotiators and like milking the very last drop of money out of other football teams. And Tottenham came in with this offer, which it wasn't all front-loaded cash, basically. It was in installments and it was on performance. And West Brom said, no, if you want him, you pay the money for him. You pay that exact money. We take that money, all of it, and you can have the player. That is the bit that made Sido's head just go pop.
Yeah.
Gone. They'd lost the player.
Did he get a new contract?
I don't think so. I don't think
he wasn't hot enough,
tools,
long enough, was he?
I wouldn't say down tools, but his head was gone. So he was no longer the player he was. The relationship he had with West Brom was burnt. That bridge was gone, long gone. It was just it was a no-win for everyone at this point. This is what I'm saying, where it sounds bad and it sounds like you're giving in to the player, but the second they've had their head turns, very, very rarely does it end well.
Yeah, I think because as well, we hear circumstances of managers and clubs just having a common sense approach, where I think Ronaldo famously with Ferguson, wasn't it? It was like, he's going to go to Real Madrid. And I believe the conversation went something like, give us 1 year. Just give us one more year. Boom. And then you can go.
And then you can go.
And I think that works well, doesn't it?
We'll get 70, 80 mil for you. Everybody's a winner. At that time, it's a world record fee. It's everything. So that's what I mean, though. That's where you have to sort of forget the ego a little bit. Yeah. Everybody does. I mean, everybody across the board, from the chief execs, the club, the chairman, the player, that you have to almost take the emotion out of it and have to go, right, let's try and sort it with the player if you can. And if you don't, then we're going to just have to sell the player. And I think Brighton have been really good at doing that. I do. I think what they do, Brighton, for example, they're very good at doing this. They've sold so many players along the years where they've gone, right, I'll tell you what, if we get a 30, 40 million pound offer for you, we'll probably sell you.
The impressive thing about Brighton is it's always on their terms.
Yeah.
Same as Spurs, to be fair. Yeah, you know, like him or loathe him, it's always that way. It's on their terms. Yeah. And it's like when this season, Brighton, we keep using them as an example, but the model's just so good. And it's called succession planning, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. They've always got something in.
Their chief scout goes, they know who the next one is. Their manager goes, and they go. So even now, De Zerbi's not long been in situ. He goes, they know, they've got a shortlist. They know who it is. And you always think with other clubs, that isn't the case. You can see that it isn't the case.
Yeah.
So it's an incredibly well-run football club. But look at the striker situation there. Like, they got rid of Mopé, didn't they?
Yeah.
Who hasn't torn up trees.
No.
And then this young lad, Evan Ferguson. And you kind of go, it's another one.
He looks a real deal. And I know we're going on tangents again here, but he looks a real deal, by the way. I watched him in the FA Cup the other day. He's a man. He is a big, fully grown man. He's got a massive head on him as well.
Big head.
Big head. Big head.
Thanks everybody for watching. We hope you enjoyed this clip of the Fozcast. If you would like to watch the full episode, it is now available exclusively on Spotify for free.